introduce Mark Nichols. I spoke to you a little bit last week about him. He's going to fill us in this case a little bit on fitness and curling, nutrition and curling. And then a second PowerPoint for a second presentation with the grade 9s, which you're welcome to join. Will be more about the road to glory and of course his 2006 Olympic gold medal, which is awesome. So we've had a rough morning. We've had trouble with the computers, and we saw Mr. Schindel just leave, but I think we're ready to go now. Everything's cool, so I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to see what Mark has to offer us. Go ahead, Mark.
Cool. Thanks, guys. First, thanks for the invitation to allow me to come here, talk to you guys. I really enjoy sharing my experiences with everyone. I've had such a great opportunity to travel all over the place, tell my stories, tell some funny stories, some stories that people probably would never have known about, basically behind the scenes at going to the Olympics, through the Olympics, and then after our win. This morning, this first presentation is one that is near and dear to my heart. I grew up a sports fanatic. I loved playing sports. I loved, working out, training, just trying to make myself better. And when I went through school, that's the road I took. I went to Memorial University. I did graduate with a degree in kinesiology. Anyone here know what kinesiology is?
Sports injuries.
Yeah, sports injuries, stuff like that. Basically, kinesiology is a study of the human body and movement, whether it's in sport, through injuries, anything like that. So once I went through university, I tried to decide what I wanted to do. I got my certification as a personal trainer, and most recently I'm working to get my nutrition counseling certification, and Precision Nutrition is the company that I'm working with. I find that if you don't have both, or in this case if you don't have everything combined, something lacks. That's why I kind of went the route that I did. You could be in great shape, but if you have not great eating habits, and I know you guys, how old are you guys? 16? 15, 16. I know when I was 15 or 16, I ate whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and didn't really care about what I was putting into my body. But as I got older, I couldn't sit down and eat a big bag of chips and go out and play a game of soccer or anything like that. I had to be putting the right fuel in my body in order to perform, and it goes the same thing with curling. I'm just going to start with a quick diagram. Like, as I talk about everything combining themselves together, you got basically, I'll look at 3 circles here like this. We'll go here, and then we'll have another one right here. Okay? And then first one, basically we're talking about, this is your fitness. Fitness or performance. If you're a high caliber athlete, you want to be able to perform on the field, right? You guys play lots of sports? Soccer, basketball, all that sort of stuff, girls, yeah? So, what's that? Correct. Fitness, performance, we'll put that in one. Your nutrition, goes into another one, right? And then basically down here, you can kind of put a couple other ones. This is, your practice. This could be your practice in your specific sport, okay? So the reason why they're all intertwined is because this area right here, where all 3 come together, that's basically what I talk about as being your optimal performance. If you have all 3 of these going, if you're practicing on the field or on the ice really hard, you're working out, training, and then you're tying in good nutrition, you're doing everything possible to make yourself better for your specific sport. I'm not just talking about curling or anything like that. I'm basically talking about any sport that you guys decide that you want to be a part of. And it could be anything else. Like if you're staying up late the night before a big test and you're sleepy, you come in the next day, you're not focused enough. So, all those things tie in together. So we're going to basically talk about physical fitness for the first half. Anyone in here work out or train really hard for certain sports? Anyone? Little bit?
Yeah.
Little bit? Working out? You guys getting into that sort of stuff? I know I was probably your age when I first, got introduced to, lifting weights and finding out, how I could make myself stronger or better for a specific sport. So I tried to learn as much as I could about, you can go online, find a certain program here, find a certain program here, find a certain program here. And I did a lot of that. Tried a whole bunch of different ones until you find what works for you. And that's what you guys are going to learn today, is that everyone is different. There's no cookie cutter programs out there. You can kind of find ones that you can try, but every individual is different, and not everything works for everybody. So if I were to ask you what comes to mind when you think of physical fitness, what would you say? Anyone? Don't be shy. Go for it.
Just like working out, or just that's what I kind of think of as physical fitness.
Yeah.
Just like your body shape, I guess.
Yeah, body composition is a good one. Getting yourself stronger.
Yeah.
I think you're going down that road, right?
Yeah, that's what I kind of think.
Yeah. So that's a good one. I've got 5 points here that are what I think are important for physical fitness. Basically, it's your overall health. You're training, working out, doing on a good program, you're making yourself healthier. And at the end of the day, that's what's the most important. It's not, that you want to be the best on the field or on the ice. It's that you're actually as healthy as possible. Because once you get to, a little bit older, into your 30s, 40s, injuries start happening a little bit more. And the healthier you are, the more you're able to avoid that sort of stuff. So, and then we touched on this one, strength, getting yourself stronger. There's no reason why making yourself stronger is going to hurt yourself on the field or on the ice. Endurance is basically, you're running, long distance stuff. If you play soccer, you need good endurance to play through a full game. Same thing with basketball, all that sort of stuff. So you need good endurance through your whole game. Flexibility. Why do you think it's important to have good flexibility?
So you don't fall anything or hurt yourself.
That's right. Yeah, last thing you want to do is hurt yourself, and that's right down on the last one. Having yourself free of injury. That's so important. I'm sure you guys have played in a sport where you've rolled an ankle, or you've hurt your knee, or your back, or something like that, and then you had to sit out. Has that ever happened to you guys? Does it suck? It's terrible. Like, I go back to a few years ago. I had a stress fracture in my ankle, and I was in a walking cast for about 3 months. Couldn't curl, couldn't do anything. I basically sat at home on my butt for 3 months, and it was the worst 3 months of my life. And injuries, they're a lot of times it happens, and sometimes accidents happen. But the healthier you are, the stronger you are, the less likelihood of that happening. So, making sure that you're in as good a shape as possible is, the best way to go. What do you think I mean by the evolution of curling? How long have you guys been curling for? 8 years? Cool. Everyone else got a few years? 2? Okay. So we got a wide range. You guys are probably a little bit too young to remember some of the names. Like, you guys have probably heard of Eddie Wernick. Maybe? Oh, no. So Ed Wernick, probably one of the greatest touch curlers of all time. But Ed, and he doesn't know I'm talking about him right now, but a lot of people would say that Ed was probably, a little overweight. When they tried for the Olympic trials, I believe it was for '88, they did a trial run, and they selected a team, and Ed actually lost, 20, 30 pounds in order to get in shape for curling. But it was kind of a one-time thing. And when I talk about the evolution of curling, back in the 60s and 70s, curling was more, it was a social game. It still is a social game, but I've seen pictures, as far back here where there's guys actually smoking on the ice. They're coming out of the hack and there's a smoke hanging out of their mouth with the corn brooms and stuff like that. And that's kind of where the game has come from. People played it for fun, and they still do. But now that the Olympics have been introduced to, the athletes that are playing know how much is on the line, so they take all of this stuff very, very seriously. You had great curlers. I'm not taking anything away from these guys. They practice really hard, but their fitness and nutrition probably lacked. They were just very, very talented. But these days, you look at Kevin Martin and that team, Ben Hebert and Mark Kennedy are two of the, they're in great, great shape. Those guys can pound a rock the whole way down the sheet, and it just goes and goes and goes, and Kevin lets it go, and no way that's getting to the rings. And Mark and Ben just, make it look easy. They're in great shape. And Craig Saville, Brent Lang, they're great sweepers. They're in great shape too. So all these guys take that very seriously. So the game has come a long way. And it's only going to get better. The top teams are putting so much time in, not just on the ice, but into everything else, that you see it on the ice. Those guys, Kevin Martin's, Glenn Howard's, I'm lucky enough to play on Jeff Stoughton's team now, and those are the names that you hear week in and week out that are winning. And why is it? It's because they're putting the time into everything. Going into the proper way to train, like I said, I learned the wrong way a whole lot starting off. I was doing crazy stuff, jumping on and off of Bosu balls, and trying to do as much stuff as possible. When actually I found out that simpler is better. And try to make everything so complicated that you're basically not improving. You're getting kind of good at a lot of things, but you're not getting really good at what you need to. And the first thing about it is learning proper technique. You pick up a book, you flip through it, and it shows, you got a couple pictures. The only way you're going to get stronger and better at your craft or the sport is by learning proper technique. There's no way about it. You get into the gym or anything like that, and you got funny, you're supposed to do a squat, and I've seen some terrible squats where people are, their knees are buckling in, and I don't even know how that happens, but they continue to do it without learning the proper technique. And it might not happen, that year or a few years down the road, but eventually they're going to hurt themselves. And like I said, we talked about injuries. Once you hurt yourself, you're more prone to injury. So learning proper technique is so important. Well, I touched on this too. Every individual is so different. I'll touch on it a little bit later, but the term sport specific, have you guys heard the term before? What does that mean?
Training your muscles directly for one, like the motions of one sport.
Yeah, that's very good. Sport specific, and I'll tell you that it's a term that I don't like to use, because why would, if I'm going to try to make my legs stronger, and someone tells me, well, you have to do something that's sport specific to make your legs stronger, like a squat is a squat is a squat, whether it's a curler or a football player or a baseball player, the way to make your legs stronger is by doing proper squats. So I find that fitness professionals, and I use that term loosely, the people who try to get you are the ones who come up with the fancy terms and say, well, we've got to do something that's really sport specific for you. We want to make you stronger. If I want to make your chest stronger, your back stronger, I'm going to make you do push-ups and pull-ups, whether you're a curler or a basketball player or anything like that. Every individual is different. If I've got someone who's 6'5", having them squat is a little bit different than having someone who's 5'8" or 5'10", because it's a little bit easier on their limbs. But you got to be careful with people trying to sell you that sort of stuff when it comes to being sport specific. You train based on your goals. If I were to do an assessment on any of you guys today, we'd sit down, we'd have a conversation, and one of the first things I'd ask you is, what are your goals? And you go into the gym, what's your goal? Yeah?
Maybe like achieve like maybe a higher weight, like you want to lift or something like that.
Yeah, that's good. Anything else? A goal. A goal in anything. Like if I were sitting down and have a conversation with you, what do you want to get out of this program?
Maybe like get more leaner, get bigger, I guess.
There you go. Leaner, bigger, stronger. Flexibility is a great one. There's so many people out there who have poor hamstring flexibility. Their hips are bad, something like that. This might be a good time. Just a second now. We'll go through a couple more slides, and then I'm going to do a little demonstration for you guys. Okay? When I ask you about your goals and the proper training techniques and stuff like that, I steal this from a fitness professional he lives in California. He's one of the best. His name is Dan John, and he talks about the basic human movements, and there's 5 of them. If you were to think of 5 basic human movements, what do you think they'd be in terms of training? One word for most of them. Yeah, like a type of lift. Or a type of movement. I'm just trying to get you guys thinking about certain ways you move your body through, every day. I've said one word a lot. Like a movement.
Squat.
A squat, that's one. Okay, so if I were to talked about maybe a push-up, right? So a pushing movement, right? So that's another, like if you were lying on the floor on your stomach, you would have to push yourself to get up, right? If you were doing a chin-up, that's a pull, right? So that's 3. We got a squat, a push, a pull, push, pull. Now, the next one is one that you probably haven't heard of before. It's called a hinge. Anyone ever heard of a hinge? Maybe. Anyone want to guess at what it could be?
No, that's just the sound.
So a hinge. Basically, if you're squatting, you're moving like this, right? Bending at the knees, trying to keep your chest up nice and high. A hinge is from the hips, this way, right? So I'm going to get someone who wants to demonstrate something for me.
Bobby's down.
Come on. Okay. So I want you to stand. How's your flexibility?
It's all right.
All right. Okay. So if I'm going to tell someone, if I'm teaching someone how to hinge, very first time, right? You've never heard of it? Okay.
No idea.
So I'm going to get you to face me. Just put your feet about just outside shoulder width apart. Little knees slightly bent.
Okay, like.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to bend and touch your toes.
Just like touch my.
Touch your toes. Okay, stop. So right now, this is not a hinge, okay? What, Robbie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see his back, like this? It's just poor posture. Okay? Your shoulders are rounded and all that stuff. Stand up nice and tall, bring your shoulders back. Stick your chest out. There you go. See, this is better posture. Now what I want you to do is I want you to try to touch your toes, but I don't want you to round your back. So what I would tell you to do is basically just push your hips back, like almost trying to push your butt back without rounding, and same thing, try to touch your toes, bend at your hips. Okay, so don't round. Keep, now. Okay, try one more time. Yeah, there, don't round, keep going. Keep going. Okay, stop. Where do you feel it the most? Do you feel a stretch or anything in your hamstrings?
Not really right now.
Not really? Keep going without rounding. Down. Feel now?
A little bit.
Little bit? Okay. So this is a little bit better, right? Compared to the first time. So as a fitness, you can stand up now.
Okay.
Yeah, go sit down.
Okay.
Thank you. So as a fitness guy, expert, professional, whatever you want to call it, you have to have someone who's knowledgeable to teach you these movements. If I were to design a program to tell you to do what we would call an RDL, or Romanian deadlift, basically it's a straight-legged movement where I'm bending, touch my toes, I'm trying to strengthen my hamstrings and my butt, right? But if I were to tell you to do that exercise and give you a couple words and basically, say the first thing I said was touch your toes and you went like this, it doesn't work. So you need to have someone who's knowledgeable to do all these movements, right? So if you guys can find someone to help you with these programs and help take you through the basic movements, these basic movements, if in any program you do, I base all my programs like this. And like I said, everyone's different. Push, pull, hinge, squat, and the last one's a loaded carry. Does anyone know what a loaded carry is? It's basically picking something up that's really heavy and carrying it from one end of the room to another. Simple, right? And it could be your book bag, it could be, but usually it's something heavier. And no one here has done a loaded carry before, like in a weight training program, I'm guessing, right? No. In 3 weeks, I would guarantee you would be way stronger if you just did that exercise. If I told you to pick up two 50-pound dumbbells or two 40-pound dumbbells, you start with something that's not too tough, and I'd tell you to walk 100 meters. So you pick them up and just walk. But what you want to happen is towards the end, those last few steps, you're going, oh, and then you're done. So what's going to happen is your body's going to go, holy crap, what just happened? And it's going to adjust. So I got to make myself stronger. If I'm going to keep doing this, I got to make myself stronger. So you're going to go home, you're going to eat a big meal, you're going to come back, and if you were picking up 20-pound dumbbells, next time you're going to try 25. If you don't do it, then you go back to the 20 and finish. Or, you know what, you might be a little bit stronger. Right? Pretty simple stuff, but at the end of the day, you're making yourself stronger. And that's all you want out of a training program. All right. I'm going to get Rob back up again. Yeah. Okay. I want you to lie down on this table.
Just lie down.
Yeah. On your back. On your back. Flip over. Okay. So, you said your flexibility is pretty good. And move your head up just a little bit. You're tall. Okay. So, I get someone in, like I was talking about. I sit you down, talk about your goals. Then I got to find out what's wrong, if there's anything wrong, with your flexibility, mobility, anything like that. So the first thing I'd do is I'd have some sort of assessment. I'm going to just try to keep this leg right here, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna go up. You tell me when you feel a stretch.
About there.
About there. Okay. That's a hamstring flexibility. What do you think? Do you think that's...
Well, like it's not like that. Like it could probably go farther, but
Okay, that's a little better. Okay. So now, but now you see his leg is starting to come off to over here?
yeah.
Okay, so there's a little bit of tightness there. He's almost 90 degrees. That's very good. Right? What I want you to do is I want you to sit up now on the edge of the table.
Okay.
And basically, I want you to bring this knee up to your chest and give it a big hug.
So just like,
Yeah, right into your chest. Now lie down. Okay,
Like-
same thing, same thing. See how that leg wanted to come off the, or it is basically off the table? Try that on the other side now.
so just like,
Exact same thing. Lie down, bring it right into your chest. Not as bad, right?
yeah.
Okay, are you right-handed?
Left-handed.
You're left-handed. When you curl, you're left-handed. Like,
Yeah,
you're-
left-handed.
Okay, so what I find with curlers, basically one side, especially curlers, one side is always, you're always in this position. You can sit down again, thanks.
Yeah.
You're always in this one position, whether you're right-handed. So I'm right-handed. I'm always in this position. So what do you think's happening throughout the entire season? Being in this one position. Getting one side, this leg, getting a real good stretch, right? Over here. What's happening to this one? Tightening up. So you go 6, 7 months on the curling ice, always doing this. Towards the end of the season, that's a big difference. And I never ever realized it until I got a proper assessment done by a professional. And they brought me through these movement screens. So at the end of a curling season, you assess what those imbalances, there's not much you can do about it besides stretch and train and try to train the other side as well, right? So you get the proper assessments done and then you spend the whole summer or your off season basically trying to correct those imbalances. Because over time, those imbalances create injuries. You know, you hear of a lot of curlers who get knee pain, right? Because they're constantly in that position. So, you know, you want to make sure that at the end of the day, we go right back to one of the first slides, being as healthy as possible and try to keep yourself injury free. How do we get better? Basically trying to seek out knowledge. You know, talking to the right people, talking to people who've been there, done that, all that sort of stuff. This is one thing that I always talk about is there's always a way to get better. I was pretty stubborn when I was your age. My coaches, you know, had a tough time. I don't want to say I thought I knew it all, but I had a tough time adapting to new things. And it wasn't until I was able to accept what someone was, you know, that constructive criticism. You know, you need to try to do this to get better. You need to try to do this to get better. It wasn't until I started accepting that sort of thing that I actually started getting better. You know, trying different things, putting your body in positions that, you know, you're not really used to. You talk about those loaded carries. You're not used to doing them. Your body's going to adapt. You're going to get stronger. So there's always a way to get better, whether it's in your nutrition, your fitness, your practice. Always seek out advice. I kind of touched on this, the sport-specific stuff. I think it's thrown around a lot. But, you know, it could be, a lot of professionals use it as a marketing tool, which is fine. I'd prefer that people, you know, start to make sure it's based on the individual and not the sport. And you guys, you're how many years have you been curling? Tough question? 0?
What?
How many?
Wow. Kind of here and there kind of thing.
Yeah. And I heard 8 years back here. And same?
What about like 2 or 3?
2 or 3. So, and basically your training is probably just a little bit different based on how long you've been doing it. The same thing goes for your fitness. I'm not going to make someone who's brand new to the gym do something so complicated that they, either A, hurt themselves, or B, can't do it. I'm going to make sure they learn the basic movements first, learn proper technique. My job as a trainer, yes, it is to make you stronger, make you more flexible, but my number one priority is to make sure you don't get hurt. And any trainer who puts you at risk is not doing their job. So make sure they don't have you doing silly stuff like jumping on Bosu balls. And we started talking. You guys have all read John Morse's Fit to Curl?
Probably great.
Half? Okay. So John, obviously a great curler, Olympic gold medalist in 2010 in Vancouver. He came out with a book called Fit to Curl. And it was to basically shed some light to younger kids, maybe people who are playing a couple times a week in a rec league, maybe the guys who are just starting to get a little more competitive and play. And he came out with a book to give you guys some knowledge on what he does to train. Now, I've read John's book, and he does a great job of explaining his stuff, why he does it, which is great. The only issue I have with some of his programming is that he actually, like I said, makes people do exercise on Bosu balls and standing on the balls and trying to get you to do exercises while you're standing on it. I used to teach that, and through the research I've done, if you're a healthy individual, that sort of stuff is not going to help you. It helps with a little bit of proprioception, but if he's got you doing, a shoulder press or like a bicep curl or something like that, the exercise is for your, biceps or shoulders or anything like that. There's no point in you actually standing on a Bosu ball that's curved like this. So you're standing on the edges. What's happening to my ankles standing on that ball? Basically, I'm never going to be doing anything in life where my ankles are turned outwards, right? You understand where I'm going with that? If you're doing an exercise for your biceps or your shoulders, that's a bicep or shoulder exercise. Your feet should be placed firmly on the floor. That's my only issue. Like I said, when I first came out of school, that was the cool stuff to be trying to get people to do because it's hard. And as trainers, you want your clients to make sure, or to think that, yeah, this is hard stuff, so I should be doing it, but it's not safe. And like I said, my number one goal is to make sure you guys don't get hurt. You can do a lot of exercises safer, and it's going to get you stronger. Do you think I can actually press more weight over my head standing on a ball while I'm shaking? Probably not, right? My legs are shaking, I'm doing a shoulder exercise, and I want to go up and down. I'm going to have to use less weight, which at the end of the day is not my goal. My goal was to do a shoulder press, get my shoulders stronger. So, I should be standing in proper position or sitting down. Any questions about any of that sort of stuff? It's pretty... like I said, you want to try to make this stuff simple. In the gym, the simple stuff works. Squatting, loaded carries, pushing, pulling. And we talked about a lot of this stuff. You seek out a professional, find someone who knows what they're doing. Someone who's gone to school, who's done a lot of studying. They give away fitness certificates, personal training certificates. You guys could probably go and do a weekend course and sit in a classroom like this for 8 hours for 2 days. At the end of the day, they'll give you an exam, and then you'll come out and you're a fitness professional. To me, that's a little scary. And it's nothing against the industry, but they do give away those certificates pretty easily. I went to school for 4 years, did my anatomy, physiology, all that sort of stuff, did a lot of studying to get where I am. And, to have people getting certifications, on a weekend, it doesn't seem right to me. The other thing a good professional will do, they'll design a proper program for you based on your injuries. If I was designing a program for Rob right now, I'd probably have some flexibility, mobility work in for his hips, for sure. And if a fitness professional doesn't do that for you, like, they're not doing their job. He'll probably just, give you a certain program, give it to you, and say, come back in a few weeks, and, you want to make sure that you're getting everything done. If they don't ask you what your goals are, then, how are they supposed to know what you want? And the last thing that a fitness, a personal trainer, a fitness professional does is they hold you accountable for what you're doing. It's like any coach in any sport. The coach gets you to practice. They tell you got to be here at this time, you got to be, bring you through a good warm-up, do all that sort of stuff. If your personal trainer or fitness coach isn't doing that sort of stuff, then you probably should find someone else. I'm going to touch on nutrition just a little bit. Like I said, when I was 15 and 16 years old, I loved to eat potato chips and hamburgers and French fries, and I could eat all that I wanted. Didn't gain any weight. I'd go out and play some sports, and everything was fine. But as I got older, the food that I was eating didn't actually translate to what was going on the field. So have you guys done any nutrition courses or anything like that, or health or
Health right now.
health right now? What? In gym? Okay. So basically, proper nutrition is based on the individual. Some people react well to, lots of breads and lots of pastas and stuff like that. I know my body doesn't handle it well, so I try to limit that sort of stuff, but I learned that over time. And you guys will learn all that sort of stuff. The only thing you want to, when you're looking at nutrition, is trying to get as much variety as possible, instead of the same thing over and over again. Lots of fresh vegetables and fruits, lots of lean proteins, and try to stay away from processed food as much as possible. That's, salamis, processed cheeses, stuff like that. That stuff, at the end of the day, really doesn't do well for your body. You guys are young enough now that it's pretty easy for you to eat whatever you want. But based on your goals, you sit down, what are my goals? If I'm just starting in the gym, my goal is to get a little bit bigger. Then what do I have to do to get bigger? I've got to lift weights, but then I've got to eat more than what I'm eating. If you're not getting bigger, then you're not eating enough. And then the other way around is, if you want to get a little bit leaner, you've got to pick foods that are, vegetables, fruits, stuff that's healthier, so you're not eating a lot of sugars and processed foods. So you cut back on those, eat your healthy meats and fruits and vegetables, and then you're going to get smaller or leaner, which is, ideal for most people. So if you guys ever had any questions, if you're really serious about working out and nutrition and stuff like that, I'd be more than willing to give my email to Miss Bouchard, and you guys could send me an email, and I'll try to help you out if I can. Okay? So like that sort of stuff, I want to make sure that you guys, if you're really, really interested, I can help you out, send you in the right direction, and maybe help out any sort of way I can. There's certain programs out there that I'd either say, yes, you can do this one, or no, you can't, or maybe you should avoid certain exercises. So if you're really serious about it, we can chat about it. Almost done. What does my training program look like? Off season, I focus a lot on strength training. I do a lot of squats, a lot of deadlifts, just trying to basically make myself stronger. I work in mobility work, which is making sure my joints move through proper range of motion. As a sweeper, there's a lot of stress on your shoulders. If you guys are sweeping really hard, a lot of pressure on the shoulders, elbows, stuff like that. So you want to make sure they're healthy. So mobility drills. Basically, I'm just trying to get myself stronger, but make sure I'm staying healthy. Rehabbing any sort of injuries. If I had a knee, I've been very, very lucky throughout my career that I haven't had any knee injuries or anything like that. Some nagging little things that I try to, that don't really affect me when I'm curling, but I make sure my training is based on getting myself stronger and not getting hurt. And I base them around those five basic human movements. If you go into the gym, you do one exercises where you're pushing, one exercise where you're pulling, one exercise where you're squatting, one exercise where you're hinging, when there's a few different movements that you can do that, and then a loaded carry, you're going to leave the gym 10 times better than what you did when you came in. Like I said, if I could give you a program and all you did was a loaded carry, 3 or 4 times, you're going to get stronger. So you want to make sure that you're using those the basic human movements. And when there's 2 different, if you look at it, there's a different plane for each one. There's a push this way, there's a push this way. So that means there's a pull this way and a pull this way. So you can base your program around that, doing pushes and pulls and different movements, and then squatting. A lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people avoid squatting. I know guys that I've worked out with for years, they don't squat at all. They have the skinniest legs in the world. All they want to do is they train the muscles they can see in the mirror. Chest, biceps, stuff like that. So the guys are walking around like this, trying to think nice and tough. So I talked about proper posture. All you're doing is this. If you do all pushes and then bicep curls, you're going to end up looking like a monkey. Like it's just and then you don't do leg exercises. Your legs are going to be smaller, not as strong, and then you're probably going to get hurt. So if you focus on, splitting it up into those 5 movements, you're going to be evening everything out, and that's basically what you want. So my in-season training changes a little bit. I still try to make myself stronger, but I probably cut back my days a week. Like in the off season, I could train 4 or 5 times a week easy because I have more time. During season, on the ice a lot, and so my training probably cuts back to 2, maybe 3 days a week in the gym, and the rest is on the ice. So my training sessions are maybe a little more condensed, but I'm still working on everything I need to. And that goes with any sport. When you're in season, you're probably training more on the field or on the ice. So you want to make sure that you're perfecting your craft. But you still want to make sure you're getting stronger. If you go through the whole season without getting to the gym, then when you get back to the summer or the off season, you're going to probably be back at square one when it comes to your strength and all that sort of stuff. So you want to make sure you're keeping it up. When I say how do I succeed, I mean when you're thinking about it, what can you do to succeed or improve yourself? And these are just the things that have worked for me. Like I said, I was always a sports fanatic. I love watching, any type of baseball, football, soccer, anything like that. And then when I played it, I always wanted to be good at it. I'm competitive to a fault. Like me and my sister are so competitive that, none of us want to lose to each other. It could be, a race down the hallway. It could be anything. If I lose, I'm not going to lose to my sister, but if she ever, and she knows I'm going to say this, but she is so competitive too. My sister's a couple years younger than me, and she's very athletic too. So we're so competitive that it didn't matter what we were doing, that we wanted to be the best at it. So that's, I'm always trying to, become as good as you can. And that's what I mean by pursuit of excellence. You're never going to perfect it, and come as close to perfection as you can, but you always just want to be good at it, really good at it. That's why I said at the beginning, like doing a whole bunch of little things, you get kind of good at a lot of things, but you don't get really good at one or two things. What do you think I mean when I say success leaves tracks? What do you think? Anyone?
Kind of have it in there. It's good.
I'm going to ask someone over here on this side.
Dane, you've been quiet today.
No? Girls? Anything?
It's like,
It's okay. Basically what I mean is that the people who were successful before you, find out what they did and then do it. Success leaves tracks. Like, you want to find, if you want to be as good as someone, find out what they're doing. I always found, like when I first got out of school, I went and I joined a gym and found out who the people in there were who were the most knowledgeable, and I surrounded myself with them. Find out who knows more than you and learn from them. And basically, when I say keep a journal, whether you're training, working out, anything, if you keep journals, you can find out what went wrong, or what was I doing to make that day so good, or anything like that. I went out on the ice and I had a great game. What did I do before to make that? And then you go back through your journal and say, well, I did this. Every single time I played a good game, I was doing this or doing that. You'll find out, and it's all based on you. I can't make you. Who listens to music before they go out into a big game or something like that? You guys listen to music? What type of music? Yeah. Okay. So is it rock music? Anyone listen to country music before they? No. No. So, and do you guys listen to music? Like, what type of music do you like? Any type, like top 40 stuff, Justin Bieber. But so if I were to give you one of the guys' iPods, do you think you'd like some of the music? Maybe? Okay. What I'm trying to get at is that I can't give everybody the same type of music to pump them up for a game or a match or anything like that. So why would it be any different when you're keeping a journal trying to get ready for a game? You want to try to make sure you find out what works for you, and find out what works for the people who are doing really good. Incorporate it, and you know what? That didn't work for me. I'm going to try this. But make sure you're always keeping a journal. And working with like-minded individuals, that's the other thing. People who have the same goals as you, they're the people you want to be around. Whether your goal is to, curl in the Manitoba Junior Provincials, or play on a great basketball team, or play soccer, or anything like that. You want to surround yourself with people who have those same goals, and that's what I've done my entire life. I'm from Labrador City. I moved from Labrador to St. John's after high school because I wanted to curl with Brad Guzzu. I had options to go other places, but Brad, and you guys, have probably seen Brad play. He's one of the best players ever. He's very successful, and I wanted to be a part of that team. And he has such a desire to win that I wanted to be a part of that. So, whatever your goals are, find the people who are out there that are like you and have those same goals, and then just figure out what they're doing. Try different things. Don't be afraid to be wrong, but make sure you have an open mind to a lot of stuff. So, that being said, If you guys have any sort of questions or anything like that, that's the end of that presentation. The next presentation I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys, whoever's sticking around, a little look inside of what went on at the Olympics and that sort of story, and that's always a fun one to do. I get to look back on old memories and tell goofy stories and all that sort of stuff. But if there's anyone that's is there anyone not sticking around?
If you really want to.
For those of you,
Peter's calculus class code.
for those of you that aren't sticking around, I did bring this along. So I want to give everyone the chance to see it. Usually I break it out halfway through the presentation and everyone goes, hey, because people don't want to hear me talk. They just want to see this thing. So I'm going to let you guys all see it now, and then I'll break it out for everyone in the next presentation. But do you guys have any questions on the fitness, nutrition sort of stuff? I know a lot of time, I love talking about it because I enjoy it. It's stuff. So if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free. You can pull me aside after or shout them out now while this is going around.
So is the squat really the secret to your 5-second takeout?
It probably is. Yeah. I've been lucky that my legs are probably the strongest part of my body. I do train them very, very hard, but making them as strong as possible. But then getting on the ice and trying to work as hard as I can on perfecting that timing. A lot of people, that's the big issue with a lot of people. They, when you're curling, is that you're coming back and then your body's going forward before your foot comes through, and it's a technical thing. But if you can get every bit of your body going through at the same time, the timing's down, makes it a lot easier to throw it a lot harder. So, but leg strength definitely helps. So I know most guys who can throw it pretty hard are pretty strong. So, any other questions? You just wait and see, are you? Here you go. You guys can.